You want to die, Verona? My daughter-in-law, Lyra, screamed and hurled a knife, its blade burying itself into the wall just inches from my head. I thought it was just another outburst, until I found a half-crescent symbol carved beneath her bed frame, identical to the mark used by a shadow organization I once investigated. But only seconds later, everything flipped. Lyra wasn't the unhinged girl everyone thought she was. She was running from a past soaked in blood, and from a man whose name could get us all killed. And when her phone lit up with a message saying, "It's time, little lone bird," I realized her secret might drag my entire family into a war we never chose. If you were in my place, would you confront her, or pretend you saw nothing? Comment, next part. Subscribe so you don't miss what happened next. My name is Verona Creed, 56 years old, a dark-skinned woman, and I used to work as a criminal profiling analyst for several federal units. To put it briefly, I have sat across from serial killers, kidnappers, torturers. I could read what was hidden behind their eyes. And because of that, I know. My daughter-in-law, Lyra Quinn, is not an ordinary person. The first time I looked into my daughter-in-law's eyes, from the moment Jackson, my son, brought Lyra home, I saw it. Lyra is 25, dark-skinned, sharp cheekbones, black hair tied high, a body that is always in a state of ready to act. She didn't walk into the house like a young girl coming to meet her mother-in-law. She walked in like someone who had just left a battlefield, and that battlefield was not over. That evening, after dinner, Lyra stopped at the front door, her hand on the lock, twisting it and checking it 7 times. I asked, "Are you obsessed with safety?" She turned back, looked straight at me, her eyes darkening. "Not obsession, survival experience." I smiled lightly, about to joke. "This lock is in a safe suburb, not a war zone." Lyra whispered, her voice so low it was almost a growl. "You don't know, Verona. Sometimes the place that looks safest is where people die easiest." And that sentence made the back of my neck go a little cold. Habits that made me pay attention. In just 3 days, I had seen enough. Lyra taped over the doorbell camera. Taped over the laptop webcam, too. She even stuck a small piece over the eye of my glasses in the living room just because she didn't like the feeling of being watched. At night, Lyra didn't sleep deeply. She slept sitting up, back against the wall, legs drawn in, hands placed close to the pillow, like she was keeping a position to draw a weapon. Once, I accidentally stepped into the living room too quietly. Lyra startled and whipped around, her hand swinging up, snapping the fruit knife off the table. If I hadn't stepped back in time, my head might have taken that reflex full on. "What are you doing?" Jackson yelled. Lyra set the knife down, inhaled, her eyes still shot through with red veins. "Don't ever stand behind me like that again. I can't fully control my reflexes." A normal person doesn't say that. Someone who has lived in a place where turning half a second late means death says that. That night, while cleaning the living room, I bent down to pick up the pillow Lyra often hugged when she slept on the couch. Under the base of the sofa was a faint metal scratch, half a crescent moon. I froze. That symbol, I had seen it in far too many files. It was the mark of an underground organization known only by one name, the Wraith, the Forbidden Shadow. It was Friday. I made braised beef. Jackson and Lyra came home late, and the whole family tried to act normal. Lyra dropped a small slip of paper with a name on it, Sable Ward. I recognized it at once from a black file tied to the Wraith. I asked casually. In a split second, Lyra changed. The wineglass exploded against the wall, inches from my head. She leaned close and snarled. "Do you want to die, Verona?" I stared straight into her eyes and saw it clearly. Behind the rage was absolute fear. Lyra left me with one warning. If I wanted Jackson to live long, I should stop digging into her past. The next day, I accidentally saw Lyra's back. A long, curved scar like a half moon, not like an accident. When I mentioned the Wraith, Lyra said it was a reminder that she still owed a death. That night, Lyra's phone lit up with a message from an unknown number, and the words, "It's time, lonely bird." A 3-second video came with it, our front door filmed from outside. When Lyra realized I had the phone, she exploded. I had just signed a death warrant for the whole family. Late that night, Jackson finally told me the truth. Lyra used to belong to a dark unit. No records, no paperwork, no way out unless you died. I named it the Wraith. Lyra was betrayed on a mission. Her whole team erased. And she survived, then ran. And I understood. She was holding something important enough that the Wraith could never allow it to slip away. 2 days later, I found Lyra asleep on the couch, her hand clamped around a small metal piece etched with. Inside was a titanium-cased USB. Then the doorbell rang. A hooded man stood on the porch. Sable Ward. He looked me in the eye and said it flatly. "I came to help you. Survive tonight." In the kitchen, the moment Lyra saw Sable, she snapped. But Sable didn't look like a man who came to kill. His eyes held only weariness. He saw the USB and called it a key. The network map, accounts, identities, kill, orders, everything of the Wraith. Whoever held it had to be erased. He said the Wraith would come tonight, because I had touched the USB. We couldn't call the police right away. The Wraith had eyes and ears everywhere. Sable handed me a signal jammer and said we only had to buy enough time to push the data out. Lyra looked at me, voice rough. "If she died tonight, tell Jackson she never meant to drag him into it." Then the power cut out. From the yard came a distorted voice. "Return what belongs to me, or I'll take the head of every person in this house." Lyra whispered, "He's here." Footsteps on gravel, a tall shape behind the thin glass. Sable told me not to go out, but I still cracked the door and provoked him. A warped laugh answered he knew who I was. The door burst open. The Wraith stepped in, a black mask marked with. I turned on the jammer, plugged the USB into a laptop on a secure line. 42 seconds to upload everything. He lunged. Sable blocked. Lyra moved like a shadow and tore off the mask, revealing half a face burned and scarred, one eye milky white. He roared that Lyra wouldn't live. Lyra answered coldly. She didn't need to live if tonight he had to die. The counter ran 31, 32, 33. The Wraith realized and surged for the USB. I stepped in front of it, no gun, only a warning. One more step and his entire system would be exposed. He sneered at the law. I said I believed in truth. Lyra slammed him down. Sable locked his arms. Jackson, shaking but determined, called 911, stated the target was tied to the Wraith, and that the digital evidence had been uploaded. The progress hit 100%. I hit send. Over the approaching sirens, he still tried to threaten us. I only said he would have to live with himself. The Wraith was arrested on the spot. The USB became golden evidence, and the network was dismantled. Lyra's identity was protected as a key witness. Sable vanished after meeting investigators. Jackson hugged me and apologized for misunderstanding me. Lyra stood by the door, still exhausted, but no longer prey. She said she didn't deserve to be my daughter-in-law. I told her, yes, she brought danger into this house, but she also chose to run with the USB for the truth, not for her own life. The night was quiet. The door that once made us fear it would burst open stayed still. I thought of the cold eyes I had faced, and I thought of Lyra. She entered my life like a disaster, but stayed like family, because she chose the side of truth even if it meant facing a ghost named the Wraith. People aren't born strong. They are forged by battles. They are forced to survive for themselves, and for the ones they love.